How much money is Georgia paying five-star quarterback Jared Curtis? That's what we're talking about in today's video. It's a lot of money. According to On3's Pete Nakos, Georgia is paying Jared Curtis north of $750,000 for, I believe, his first year in Athens next season. So that's just 1 year. Now, there's a lot to talk about here. Number one, yes, that is a lot of money. The average Joe is not making anywhere close to that, right? That is a lot of money. However, that is an absolute steal for the Georgia Bulldogs when you talk about what the market is for a five-star quarterback and a guy who at one point was the number one quarterback prospect in the country. Now, he still may be. These rankings are updated, that feels like every other week now. So he was number one. I think he might be number three now. Doesn't matter. He's a five-star quarterback. And when you look at what Bryce Underwood is making up at Michigan and, just the whole market in general, to land an elite, and that's what he is. He is an elite quarterback, an elite prospect, one of the best overall prospects in the country. And to get him at just $750,000, which is crazy to say, that's a steal. And we've been talking about this for a while. Jared Curtis turned down more money to come play for Mike Bobo, Kirby Smart, and the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, a lot of Georgia fans aren't going to believe that because they're still just anti-Bobo until the day they die, right? That's a hill they will not get off of. But I'm telling you right now, Jared Curtis and his family couldn't wait to agree to this deal to play for Georgia when he committed to Georgia over Oregon. But this is a big deal for a lot of reasons. And you can go and click on that story if you want. I think it's behind a paywall, but this is a number that was reported outside of a paywall. This is just what Pete Nakos is reporting. I don't know exactly how much Miami gave Jackson Cantwell or what Tyler Atkinson is signing with Texas or James Johnson or Derek Cooper to more Texas guys. All I know is that what I'm hearing behind the scenes, it is, quote, stupid money what Miami gave Jackson Cantwell, who I was told basically had a foot in Athens and was ready to commit to Georgia until the last minute. It might be close to $2 million for him to play year one. Again, I don't have the exact numbers. When I do, I will put them over on Dawg Post, but Pete Nakos might have them. His job, I think specifically, I could be wrong, but I think it is all NIL related. And these numbers, I believe, will come out sooner than later. Everyone can see what these kids are making. And George is going to pay Jared Curtis north of $750,000 just for him to be the backup, like third string next year, maybe fourth string. This is for him to be a freshman on the roster and basically not even play. I don't expect Jared Curtis to play a ton in 2026. And that number is going to have to increase to keep him around for his sophomore year. And it's going to have to increase again his junior year. But still, that is a deal when you consider what a lot of these other quarterbacks are getting. Now, I don't know what Dia or Diabell is getting at Texas. I think it's more than that. The kid committed to Tennessee. I don't want to blank on his name. I don't know the kid. Georgia didn't recruit him, so I don't want to mess it up. Faison Brandon, something like that. If I got that wrong, I apologize, the young man. That's a lot of money. I think Tennessee gave Nico more than that when he committed to Texas and signed with Texas a couple years ago. So for Georgia to go out and land an elite quarterback like Jared Curtis on a bargain at $750,000. I know a lot of the older fans are going to hate all of this. They hate the new NIL and what college football has become. But that's the market for a five-star quarterback. And again, he's coming to Georgia at a discount. That is a really good number for one of the best players in the country. So yes, Georgia is using NIL and those resources. These numbers are coming out. I think KJ Bolden signed close to that, and he was a safety, right? And he played year one. So it all depends on the kid. If, to say it like this, I don't mean to sound, odd or, out of my lane, but depending on the kid is how much, NIL is. If one kid comes from not a great home or family lifestyle, you're going to have to pay that kid more than someone who comes from a great background, right? Whose family probably or might have more money, right? So it's all different. The position you play also factors into this. But, I am excited to see the actual numbers. I don't read what everyone else wrote. Again, I don't know what else Pete Nakos has in that story that he has over on On3. I don't read other people's stuff. I do this for a living, so I don't know what everyone else is saying, right? I just know what I'm hearing behind the scenes, and I would like to know that exact number of what Jackson Cantwell is getting, because he's getting a lot of money to not even start. He could start year one at Miami. They're paying him a whole lot of money to probably start. You don't want to spend that type of money for a guy to sit on the bench, right? Because it's going to affect the other people at that position group or on the roster who aren't making that much money. And we're getting to the point where a lot of these guys are getting paid almost what their assistant coach is, the guy coaching them every single day. These players are getting close to matching what their position coach is making. So we're getting into some dangerous waters here. But as far as the quarterbacks go, Georgia is getting Jared Curtis on a discount. Yes, it is an incredible amount of money. To some people, that's life-changing money, especially to make that in just 1 year, knowing that it's probably going to be more the next year and more after that. But that's where we're at in college football, and that's where we're at as far as quarterbacks go. But again, he took less money to go to Georgia. Bryce Underwood did not take less money to go to Michigan, and I don't think many other quarterbacks out there are taking less money like Jared Curtis is. But that is the public number that Pete Nakos has put out, and I assume it's correct. And again, I'm eager to see what Tyler Atkinson and Derek Cooper, who didn't even take an official visit to Texas, committed to Texas over teams like Georgia and Miami, where he visited a bunch. So that number's got to be over the top. Jackson Cantwell, over the top. Outstanding player. He's got top 5 pick written all over him. He's going to make millions in the NFL. He's that good. But that's a lot of money from what I'm hearing behind the scenes for an offensive tackle. But Georgia got arguably the best quarterback prospect in the country for $750,000, which is a pretty good steal, especially considering how good the guy is. Here are some numbers. Last fall, Jared Curtis, big kid, right? A kid with size, 6'4", 215, 220 pounds. He threw for 2,830 yards and 40 touchdowns, just 3 interceptions. No, he did not play against the best competition, right? Because I know those comments are going to be there. But he did what he should against weak competition. He threw all over him. He ran all over him. He made it look easy. This is an elite quarterback no matter what level of competition he's playing. You could put Jared Curtis on a team in Gwinnett County, and he's still putting up big numbers and looking outstanding. He ran for 637 yards and 18 more touchdowns on the ground. He was state championship game MVP, Tennessee Gatorade Player of the Year, Tennessee's Mr. Football. The guy is a big, big deal. And yeah, Georgia was going to have to pay him a lot of money to get him on board, but they didn't have to write him the biggest check. And that's what we're learning today, especially when you consider, Jared Curtis and his family could have been like, hey, this is what Michigan gave Bryce Underwood. That's the market. We want that type of money. And from what I've gathered, it's not even close. But yeah, a lot of money, and we're going to see a lot of these numbers come to fruition. But it also puts a lot of pressure on these kids. I mean, this is almost the NFL level, where you know what those guys are making, and when they're not playing well, you could say, wow, this guy's making X amount of money for not, he's not playing up to it. And, fans look at coaches all the time and say, this coach is making this amount, and he's not doing his job. You see it with baseball all the time. I'm a Braves fan. I see what these players are making, and it's been a down year, to say the least. It's been a massive disappointment, especially when you consider what these guys are making, right? So now we're going to see with college football players and with the quarterbacks, yeah, they are under more pressure now more than ever, right? They're getting paid a lot of money to come in and not only play well, but to win. And you've got a lot of desperate programs out there like Texas and Miami and Penn State and Tennessee who are going to have to spend lots of money for these elite 5-star quarterbacks, and they're going to have to play well and win. And I think Jared Curtis is going to be a superstar if he continues this path and continues to develop and work and progress under Mike Bobo in the system and just does his job, right? He doesn't have to be Superman. Carson Beck tried to be Superman last year, and he said that at ACC Media Days. It just didn't work out. You make a lot of throws that you shouldn't. You put the ball in harm's way more than you'd like to, right? To be Superman. Gunnar Stockton doesn't have to be Superman. Jared Curtis doesn't either. But these numbers are starting to come out of what these big-time prospects and elite quarterbacks are getting. And these 5-stars are getting a lot of money, in some cases, to go to a place where they didn't even take an official visit. So that tells you how much money is being thrown out there. But when I saw that Jared Curtis number, my immediate thought was, wow, I mean, that Georgia got a bargain here. That is a steal. They got a guy who could change a program and is one of the more talented quarterbacks that Georgia has signed in a long, long time. He's up there with Matthew Stafford and up there with Jacob Eason and up there with Justin Fields as far as like where he is ranked and the arm talent that he brings. And if you look at what other programs are giving their quarterbacks, looks like Georgia got a pretty good deal. So stay tuned for this channel and make sure you go give Pete Nakos and On3 a click because he's the guy reporting it. This is not me. This is on him. I'm just talking about his reporting. So make sure you go and and check that out. I think he does a good job. So you're not going to find a lot of this on Dawg Post. I've got to confirm it myself, but the information is going to be out there sooner than later. But really appreciate it. Those are my thoughts on what Georgia is, the reports of what Georgia is paying five-star quarterback Jared Curtis. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something, and I'll see you over on Dawg Post.